I stared at my bank account balance in disbelief. $253.47. Just yesterday, it had shown $175,432.89. 8 years of careful saving from my job as a marine biologist. My hands shook as I dialed my mother's number. "Oh, good, you've seen it," my mother said breezily, answering on the first ring. "Olivia needs that money for her wedding. You understand, don't you, Sophia?" I gripped my phone tighter. "Mom, that was my entire savings. How did you even access my account? I'm still a cosigner from when you opened it in college, dear. Besides, Olivia's wedding is in 3 months, and you know how important this is for our family's reputation. The Caldwells always have extravagant weddings." The Caldwells, my stepfather's family name, which my mother had eagerly adopted 5 years ago when she married Richard, the same name my stepsister Olivia wore like a crown. "That money was for my research project," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "The Marine Conservation Grant. Oh, those little fish will still be there later," my mother interrupted. "Olivia needs this now. She's marrying a senator's son. We can't have a simple wedding. What would people think?" I closed my eyes, remembering the letter sitting in my desk drawer. The one from Great Aunt Eleanor's lawyer that had arrived last week. The will reading was scheduled for tomorrow. "Does Richard know you took my money?" I asked. "Of course, he agrees completely. Olivia is his only daughter after all. You're already established in your career. You can save up again." Established. Right. Because living in a tiny apartment and pouring every spare penny into my marine conservation research was living the high life. "I have to go, Mom." I hung up before she could respond. My apartment felt smaller than usual as I paced its length. The walls were covered in marine life photographs. My work documenting endangered species along the coast. Work that would now have to be put on hold. My phone buzzed with a text from Olivia. "Thanks for contributing to my special day. I've already booked the premium flower package. You'll love it." Contributing. As if I'd had a choice. I pulled out Great Aunt Eleanor's letter, reading it again. "Dear Sophia, if you're reading this, I'm no longer here. But don't be sad. I've lived a wonderful life, filled with adventures most people only dream about. You reminded me so much of myself at your age, with your passion for the ocean and its creatures. The will reading is scheduled for next month. Your mother will likely try something dramatic before then. She always was predictable in her desperation to impress others. Don't fight it. Sometimes the best revenge is simply waiting for the right moment. Come to the reading. Don't tell anyone about this letter. And remember, I always said the ocean holds the greatest treasures. Love, Aunt Eleanor." I'd always been close to Great Aunt Eleanor. While my mother chased social status and Richard's approval, Aunt Eleanor took me on diving trips, encouraged my marine biology studies, and shared stories of her own adventures as a deep-sea photographer. The doorbell rang, interrupting my thoughts. It was Miss Chen, my elderly neighbor. "I made too much dinner again," she said, holding out a container of her famous dumplings. She took one look at my face and added, "Bad day." I let her in, telling her everything over steaming dumplings and green tea. "Ah," she said when I finished. "Your aunt was wise. Sometimes the bigger person isn't the one who fights back immediately, but the one who knows when to strike. But my research will wait a few days," she said firmly. "Trust your aunt. She didn't become one of the world's most respected marine photographers by being foolish." That night I could barely sleep. My phone kept buzzing with messages from my mother and Olivia, sharing expensive wedding details and expecting my excitement. Richard sent a long text explaining how this would benefit the whole family and how I should be grateful for the opportunity to contribute to such an important occasion. I turned my phone off and pulled out my old photo albums. There was Aunt Eleanor, teaching me to dive when I was 12. Another showed us tracking sea turtles when I was in college. The last photo was from just 6 months ago. Her proud smile as I presented my research at a marine biology conference. The next morning, I dressed carefully in the suit Aunt Eleanor had bought me for my first job interview. The law office was across town, an elegant building that matched my aunt's refined taste. I arrived early, but my mother, Richard, and Olivia were already there. dressed like they were attending a social gala rather than a will reading. "Sophia," my mother called out, "doesn't Olivia look gorgeous? We just came from her final dress fitting. The money is being put to such good use." Olivia twirled, her designer dress probably worth more than my annual salary. "The wedding is going to be amazing. You'll be so proud to be my stepsister." Before I could respond, Mr. Watkins, Aunt Eleanor's lawyer, called us into his office. Several other relatives were there too, all looking expectantly at the thick envelope on his desk. "Before we begin," Mr. Watkins said, "Mrs. Eleanor Sullivan had a specific request. This video must be played first." The lights dimmed and Aunt Eleanor's face appeared on a screen. She looked elegant as always, even in her diving gear, the ocean visible behind her. "If you're watching this, I've taken my final dive," she began, her eyes twinkling. "My life has been extraordinary, filled with discoveries, adventures, and the kind of wealth that can't be measured in dollars. Though," she smiled, "I have plenty of those too." My mother sat up straighter. "But true wealth," Aunt Eleanor continued, "isn't about money. It's about preserving what's precious, like our oceans, like integrity, like dreams that serve more than just ourselves." She paused, and I could swear she was looking right at me. "So I've made some specific arrangements. Mr. Watkins, you may proceed with the reading." The video ended, and Mr. Watkins opened the envelope. Watkins cleared his throat and began reading. "To my beloved great-niece Sophia Sullivan, I leave my entire marine photography collection, valued at $4.2 million, along with my research vessel Ocean's Heart and my private island marine research station off the coast." The room fell silent. My mother's face turned pale. "Additionally," Mr. Watkins continued, "I leave Sophia my entire estate valued at approximately $12 million. With one condition: it must be used to continue my work in marine conservation and research." Olivia dropped her wedding planner. Richard gripped his armrest. "But what about the rest of the family?" my mother stammered. Mr. Watkins adjusted his glasses. "There's more." To Caroline, he looked at my mother. "I leave this message: the ocean teaches us that the biggest predators often end up alone. And to ensure Sophia's inheritance is protected, I've established an irrevocable trust, with all assets already transferred, effective 1 month ago." 1 month ago, before my mother emptied my savings. The lawyer handed me a folder. "Miss Sullivan, the keys to the research station and vessel are inside, along with the trust documentation. Your aunt also left you a private letter." My mother leaped up. "This isn't fair. Sophia, you have to share this with the family. Think about Olivia's wedding." I opened the letter from Aunt Eleanor. "Dearest Sophia, by now they've probably spent your savings. Don't worry, I've been watching over you all along. The research station is fully staffed and waiting. Your mother can't touch any of it. Remember what I taught you about tide pools. Sometimes you have to wait for the tide to go out to see the true treasures beneath. Love, Aunt Eleanor." Looking up at my stunned family, I finally smiled. "I should go check on my new research station. I hear the tide is going out." 1 week later, I stood on the deck of Ocean's Heart, watching the sunrise over my aunt's now my private island research station. The facility was state-of-the-art, with laboratories that would make any marine scientist envious. A team of 12 dedicated researchers was already in place, their excitement matching mine. As we planned new conservation projects, my phone had been buzzing constantly for the past week. "Mom, we need to discuss this as a family." Olivia had to cancel her premium flower package. "Olivia, this isn't fair. I'm your sister." "Richard, be reasonable. We can work out a compromise." I had ignored them all, focusing instead on the incredible opportunity Aunt Eleanor had given me. The research station was already making waves in the scientific community, with its groundbreaking work on coral reef restoration. "Dr. Sullivan," called Dr. Martinez, my head researcher, "you might want to see this." In the main lab, he showed me footage from our underwater drones. "We've discovered a new species of deep-sea coral in the protection zone your aunt established. It could revolutionize our understanding of marine ecosystems." I was about to respond when I heard familiar voices from the dock. Looking out the window, I saw my mother, Richard and Olivia stepping off a rental boat, dressed ridiculously inappropriately for a research facility. Time to face the tide, I muttered, heading to meet them. This is where you've been hiding, my mother demanded, wobbling on her heels. We've been trying to reach you about this ridiculous situation. I've been working, I replied calmly. This is a research facility, not a vacation resort. How did you even find it? We had to hire a private boat. Olivia whined. Do you know how much that cost? Money that could have gone to my wedding. Speaking of money, Richard stepped forward. All business. We've drawn up a proposal for a fair distribution of Eleanor's estate. After all, we are family. I led them to my office, where they got their first real look at what Aunt Eleanor had built. The walls were covered with her famous photographs, underwater scenes that had graced National Geographic covers. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, they could see researchers at work in the labs. This isn't about money, I said, sitting behind my desk. This is about conservation, research, and protecting our oceans. Aunt Eleanor knew exactly what she was doing. But my wedding, Olivia started, will have to be scaled back. I interrupted. Just like my research almost was when you took my savings. My mother had the grace to look uncomfortable. We thought you'd understand. Family sacrifices for family. Exactly, I said, pulling out a folder. Which is why I've made a decision. They leaned forward eagerly. I'm establishing a scholarship program in Aunt Eleanor's name. Every year, we'll fund 5 marine biology students who couldn't otherwise afford their education. Real sacrifices for real dreams. That's not what we Richard began. Additionally, I continued, I'm filing paperwork to recover my savings, not because I need it anymore, but because actions should have consequences.
They do.
You would sue your own family? My mother gasped. No, Mom, I'm protecting my family, the ocean and every creature in it. That's what Aunt Eleanor taught me. Just then Dr. Martinez rushed in. Sullivan, the coral we discovered. It's exhibiting bioluminescent properties we've never seen before. This could be revolutionary. I stood up. If you'll excuse me, I have work to do. The boat can take you back to the mainland. But, Olivia protested. Oh, and Olivia, I added. I hear small, intimate weddings are very trendy now. Much better for the environment. After they left, I went to my favorite spot on the island, a small cove where Aunt Eleanor and I used to watch tide pools. Her words came back to me. The ocean teaches us patience, dear. Wait for the right moment, and treasures reveal themselves.
They
6 months later, our research station had made headlines with our discoveries.
do.
The scholarship program was changing lives, and my mother had finally stopped calling about family obligations. Olivia did have a small wedding, though not by choice. She sent me an invitation, which I politely declined. I was diving that day, documenting a new coral reef restoration project. In my office, I kept one of Aunt Eleanor's photographs. A tiny seahorse, clutching a piece of coral, holding its ground against the current. She'd titled it Standing Strong. Below it I added my own photo. The bioluminescent coral we'd discovered, glowing like stars underwater. I titled it New Beginnings. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's living exactly the life you were meant to live, without compromise.
They do.
That evening, as I watched the sunset from the research station, a pod of dolphins played in the waves below. I could almost hear Aunt Eleanor's laugh on the wind. Proud and free, just like the ocean she'd loved so much. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from my mother. I understand now. Your aunt would be proud. I smiled, put my phone away, and went back to work. After all, the ocean's treasures were waiting, and I had a legacy to protect.